The allegory of the cave. It is a story that is describing a bunch of people who are chained to a wall, and there is a fire behind these people who are chained to the wall, and they see shadows on the wall that are projected from somewhere. And let's say they see a horse or a tree or a bird, and as the shapes go by, someone keeps saying the names of what these shapes, what this shape is, or what this shape is, as they pass along the wall. Now, that is how you can describe the cave. But yet, what does the cave mean? I believe that the allegory of the cave would be the internet, because in the age of the internet, it's a bunch of symbols we see on computer screens and have no idea if that is truth until we see it or try it. And then it is where we fall into the realm of empiricism, where we must trust our senses, because you either are trusting your senses or nothing. Honestly, I think you just trust your senses, really. I really can't see any other way of thought. Basically, thoughts are stored memories of five senses. I can get into the concept of how I see thoughts and words, but this video is about the cave, for we live in the cave. In the age of the internet, I think we live in the cave Plato wrote about through Socrates. I see it so much today. So many people look at the shapes on the wall and say that nobody could ever leave the cave. Yet Plato wrote about that, so why is it so weird to people? It's not very comfortable to leave the cave is probably the truth. Plato wrote about that because it is hard to find truth by oneself. Most people would say it is quite hard to leave that cave. Now, the story was told thousands of years ago by a man who never wrote anything down, for Plato wrote down a lot about what we know about Socrates. Other people claim him as real in history besides Plato, but since Plato speaks for Socrates, what part of what Plato says is his word or Plato's word? That would be the debate of Plato's text or Socrates' text, because Plato used Socrates as a character to speak ideas or record the history of his teacher, for Socrates was the teacher of Plato. Socrates is a man who could take a whole video himself, but since he never believed in writing, we can just trust Plato's version of who Socrates was. Plato was his closest student, people claim, but the allegory was spoken thousands of years ago but describes the world we live today. Now that raises the question I want to ask you, the viewer. Do we really advance with technology? Or do our tools just get better with time? Because the mind couldn't have changed that much, right?